Good evening and welcome to tonight's study session. This is October 7th of 2024. And tonight we have an update on the CG Links. Larry, anything you want to add, or are we just going to go to Deb? All right, Deb, it's your show.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council members. It's a pleasure to be here as usual. And I just want to take a little bit of your time and give you an update on the link and where we're at and what might be coming down the road. But first, we should take a look at what we've done and how we got here. There's been a lot of planning and there was a lot of preparation in preparing for just the launch of service nearly a year ago. With Council's vision and commitment back in January of 2019, you first started looking into the possibility of public transit in the city. That was in January of 19, and then we had a study session in August of 21, so things started moving to introduce public transit to the city. We went through a series of resolutions and ordinances to make it so. We submitted a grant with the FTA. We became a designated small UZA, small urban area. So we automatically receive funding from the federal government when you have a population of 50,000 or above. So that kind of put us on the map as well. We came to be funded with a little over $2.5 million in CARES Act funds, which allowed us this opportunity that the council took advantage of taking that funding and beginning this pilot program with no local match required. So that was truly a win-win. And so again, we've done a lot of things to get to this point. We established a first-time ever Transit Advisory Committee, which advises, and we have one or two members in the audience. Mike Henderson is with us this evening. Which helps in the design, the marketing, the communication, consumer issues, planning, policies, all that good stuff. They are a big part of what we do. We hired a contractor to operate the service for the city, a turnkey operation, and they're housed over at the NOC. And then, of course, first time ever, we needed to add transit fares to the city fee schedule. So a lot of preparation, as I mentioned. And with all of that, the City Council approved the transit, the six-phased or the 5-year transit implementation plan. And we have actually worked through phases 1 and 2 already. First was our kickoff of our service, October 23rd of last year. In our 7th month, we introduced fares. We had been free of fares. And so that was exciting. We hit phase 2. Coming up in year 2, which is just a couple of weeks from now, we'll be implementing phase 3 at the start of year 2, and that is the addition of Saturdays. So currently we operate Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. With the addition of Saturday, it'll be a 6-day-a-week program, the same hours. And all indications look as though this is just going to be as robust as the other services. However, it's going to be a little different because there's different opportunities that exist on a Saturday versus a weekday. So we're going to wait and see what happens, but we're very hopeful. And then there's a little table, if you will, year 1, 2, and 3. What this is, if it's confusing to you, what this is supposed to represent is the fact that when we brought on our contractor, we have a 3-year agreement with them. So we've already calculated how many hours they're going to be working on, tire on the road in year 1, year 2, and 3. And all that relates to funding, of course, and then how many vehicles will be in use in each of those years. So year 1 and 2, we've got 3 vehicles in max use. In other words, 3 at a time. When we go to year 3, then we actually introduce a 4th vehicle. So this is what's planned, this is what's budgeted. There's 2 one-year optional years, then we would reopen and take a look at what the costs and things might be. And speaking of funding, as I mentioned, we had received a little over $2.5 million in CARES Act funding, and that was the response to the coronavirus pandemic. And as of 3/1 of '22 through June 30th, this was our last quarterly reporting, we had spent nearly $600,000. So you see the balance that we have, and I had predicted that this would run us through 2 to 2.5 years of service. So it looks like we're very much on track with that. And let's just take a look at ridership real quickly. You know, we only operated 7 days that first month back in October of '23. It shot up. We haven't really operated long enough to see true trends and to know if what we're looking at is correct. But it does look as though the more mild-weathered months, we see a rise in ridership. And that would make sense. I know for just about everybody, you don't do what you don't need to do if it's very hot outside. You see a drop in the chart in June. That's when we introduced fares. We anticipated a drop. They started to come back, and then we saw a little bit of a drop again in September. Again, we still don't know what all these things point to. We do know that there was less school trips, but we also had an enormous number of excessive heat days. So that might have driven the ridership down as well. But we'll continue to watch and report on this. And then it might be fun to take a look at, well, when are people riding? And when we look at the graph in this particular graph, we see that Fridays, if we look from day 1 through September, Fridays are the higher, most used days of the service. It's also interesting that on Fridays, we have more people booking and riding the same day than we do on the earlier days in the week. So people get their appointments done and out of the way that are booked ahead of time earlier in the week. Those kinds of things we're learning, but it's still more to learn as we move forward. So this first year, it's been full of events and milestones. If you recall, back in September, October, we had a 6-week time frame when the company, RTW Management out of Utah, they hired, they trained drivers and dispatchers. We did a tremendous amount of outreach and marketing. We wrapped the buses. We set up the transit office over at the NOC. We had just 101 things to do. And we got that done in 6 weeks. And then we had a very successful kickoff event at Dorothy Powell almost a year ago, back in October. And then in December, right after Christmas, we celebrated our 5,000th passenger, which we were very excited about. And this woman still hasn't claimed her monthly pass yet. I'm on her. Hopefully sometime soon. We did go through a public hearing process because to introduce fares, we needed to bring that to the public. We did that. We went through a 30-day comment period, brought it to the TAC and to council, which you approved the fares. And then in September, the middle of September, we celebrated our 30,000th passengers. And it's really nice the way it worked out because this gentleman, he's the fellow in the lower picture. He lives in Caliche, and he rides service 3 times a week. He goes to a treatment, and he's the nicest guy. And in fact, when we were trying to give him balloons and celebrate the moment, he's like, "Come on, I got to go. Come on." He was trying to push us off, so he had to get to his treatment. And again, November 2nd, that's when we begin the next phase, phase 3, which is Saturday service. And just a real quick overview. This is a little portion of an ad that's going to go in on our website and in some publications. This is also going to go in the Chamber's community guide and resource. So again, it'll be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., any trip purpose, and our riders can experience the city in a whole new way. We got flea markets, we have street fairs, we have events, we have all kinds of fun stuff that we'll be experiencing for the first time. And so we're real excited about that. And I'd also like to mention that we have about 50 to 70 people a month that use the bikes when they travel. So that is being utilized. And then on this page, we just are outlining all the different marketing and outreach that we're going to be doing. That little banner at the bottom of the page, the green section, that's what we already have up on the CG Link website. So we're promoting that. There's going to be, and we've been talking this up for some time, so the riders are well aware of it. But, everything we can do to get the word out to those. There's still a lot of people that don't know about this, so believe it or not, we're still finding newbies all the time. And then I want to take an opportunity to just kind of tell you about a few things we're looking at in the future. And we do, it's kind of hard to see here, but we've discovered that there's a number of people that live north of, they're like along the O'Neill corridor between North Casa Grande and Treckle. And they're walking all the way down and crossing Cottonwood, and we have a virtual bus stop at the 7-Eleven, which works, but I think what might make sense is to bump the service area just ever so slightly with very little impact on service as far as time or traveling out of the way. And just the area in yellow, if you could make that out, we would go north on Casa Grande to O'Neill, to Treckle. It would include the 1729 office building. That's, I think it says English dermatology. There's a free legal aid in there. The county has some services for mothers and children in there. So we would include that. And we would probably drop a couple of virtual stops on that street. So it's like a bus stop. It would actually maybe be a assigned bus stop. So that might be a great change with very low impact. And also, we've had a lot of interest from Palm Creek Resort. Of course, it's large. I don't know what they have, 1,700 units, I think, which we can't drive through all of that. So we've worked with the management as far as a designated location that's safe for people to ride their little golf carts over and then jump on the bus or walk over. And it wouldn't be in the way of all of their summer or winter visitors as well. So the public hearing would allow us to make these service changes. We can't do it until that happens. The TAC is wrapping up its final plans and considerations for the voucher program. We've talked about that before. So that's very exciting, which we'll be bringing to the council for final approval. And then the other thing that we are looking at is an IVR, Interactive Voice Response System. And the reason this might be very important for some of our riders is the fact that, well, let me back up a moment. About 85% of all trips are booked using the app. It's very successful on your smartphone. And then the other 15 or 20% of the people are calling in and using, speaking with a live dispatcher to book, change, whatever they want to do with regard to their trips. But they take about 50-60% of the time on the phone. They have a lot of questions. When's my trip? I can't remember. Did I do this? Did I do that? And one of the benefits that they don't see that the app users are getting the advantage of is we send push notifications to the app users. The bus is on the way to you. You're next. And then you get, and it tells you the bus number and the driver's name. And then you get a push to your phone, and it's a text message. Unless you requested email, but typically it's a text, and then it'll tell you, oh, the bus has arrived. Well, if you call, you're not getting that information. So an IVR system, we would call a landline with the very same information. The bus is on the way. The bus has arrived. We can also include a day before or a 2-day before phone call that's interactive by voice or push button. And it's like I get things from my doctors now. You have an appointment 2 days, press 1 to confirm or 2 to cancel. It would be similar to that. So it would be helpful for the folks that are not using a smartphone, but they still get the benefit of the advance notices. And if they cancel, if they go, oh my goodness, I forgot about it, I can't do it, we're going to know, and that's going to cut down on the cancellation rate, which is kind of high. and leaving that opportunity for someone else to travel. The good news is, this is available through the RideCo software we have at no additional cost to us for equipment or implementation. The only cost would be that it's 2 cents a minute for every phone call made. And we estimate that those calls are going to be about 2 to 3 minutes. And a very quick cursory, based on ridership numbers, we look at about $600 to $1,200 a month, annually, to introduce this service. So I think that might be something that's well spent and for the benefit of that other population using our service and those down the road. And that actually concludes my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Deb, this is great stuff, so thank you. I think for our first year, that it's really proved out to be a good service. I like the fact that it's, you dial in, you make arrangements, they come pick you up. It's kind of door-to-door service instead of standing on a hot corner waiting for a bus to show up. So, which is not very practical in Arizona. So, yeah, no, thank you. It's good stuff. Matt?
Yeah, Deb, good job. I like the fact of you're looking at where, it's a small area that you needed, but I think looks like there's a lot of people in that area,
Some
just
apartments,
density wise. So that'd be a good customer base and keeping on top of that. And then the IVR technology for the voice, that sounds like I thought you were going to say $600 to $1,200 a month, but you said per year.
No, that was
annually.
Annually.
I think that'd be well worth it.
Yeah.
Make it convenient for us as operators as well as for the customers. Like you said, I forgot I called in, so.
Yeah.
Bob?
Deb, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you on a job well done. I mean, I was I was skeptical of getting into this business, but I'm so impressed with what you've done and how it's being operated. You used the term a couple of times, bus stop or virtual bus stop. Does that allow people to just go there and wait and catch a ride, or do they still have to call in and schedule?
Still call in.
And I apologize, I'm just
That's all
talking
right.
lingo. So what happens is if you live out of the service area, you'd walk into the service area. So we don't actually have a bus stop there where we routinely stop. So it's a virtual bus stop. When you're there, we'll pick you up or we'll drop you off.
Okay.
And you still do need to book ahead of time,
You
yes.
still make an appointment.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You can do the same thing at like the rec center.
Yeah.
If somebody lived across the street, you walk over to the rec
Because it's
center,
not
as
the
long as you have an
service area.
appointment.
Oh, I see.
And they'll pick you up at the rec center, because that's
Yeah.
part of our territory.
But when you call it in, you let it be known that's where you'll be.
Yeah, 'cause they're outside of the service area.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and
Lisa?
same, I want to congratulate you and just appreciate you and the Transit Advisory Commission for
Right.
all their work. Because of course, when we implemented this and did the studies years ago, we weren't quite sure. And, that service area, first, it wasn't going to be on demand. It was just going to be a straight, up and down Florence Boulevard. So then we did on demand. But it was important to track the data and see where we are. And so I'm just so appreciative of you and the committee recognizing, we want it to be successful.
Right.
We didn't want to just implement a program based on, we did the heat maps, we did surveys on where we thought people were going to go and who was going to use it. But now people are using it and we know where they're coming from. So it's so important, for us to evaluate, and we talked about it when we implemented it. We want to see where we are, how we expand, how we can make the changes. So I'm happy to see that you're doing that. And it's so, I wasn't a skeptic. I was excited about it, and I thought it was going to do well. But again, we want to make sure that we are, listening to what the community, and you and I have had, numerous conversations on the voucher system, for people that don't have cell phones, and some of the social service agencies
Yeah.
and medical facilities that can help, provide those transit. So I'm excited for that. But, just keeping updated on what the needs are, what the service area is, and just the communication. So I'm just really happy to see where we are with the numbers and look forward to where we're going in the future. So thank you, Deb, and to your committee and to staff. I mean, for staff to support this, and, you know, we weren't quite sure where we were gonna go, and, you know, we talked about it for years and years, but I just appreciate, you know, our city staff for supporting it and, you know, working with you and the committee. So, thank you.
Deb, thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of work I know went behind the project from the beginning to now. I'm so thankful for that. They look wonderful.
They do.
They represent the city well. I'm excited about extending it out, as Councilmember Herman talked about, extending it out. Of course, we would love it to be the whole
Right.
city, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
But extending that out to that area on O'Neill Street. And so just thank you so much for all the work that you've done behind the scenes, and the staff putting all this together, and keep up the good work.
My turn.
You know, the other day I was telling Deb that somebody had said that they saw the release about, you know, the ridership, and they said it was such a good release, but there was one mistake in it. And they said that, you know, it said 30,000 riders, and I'm sure it meant 3,000. And I told Deb, oh, no, it was 30,000. And I think that the point is that a lot of people were skeptic because it hadn't been done. And thankfully, with the federal funding and everything that went on, the commission has done a wonderful job. And we've had a lot of people behind it. So, you know, to you, to keep it going, and to the staff and commission, I think that the numbers that we're looking at, we know that they will even out eventually. But for us to be able to come back and do the charge, and while we didn't want to charge for it, we know that we have to for sustainability. So for that, you know, I think that in the coming months, we're gonna still see some really big success. Thanks, Deb.
Yeah, just in conclusion, anybody else have any other comments? All right, just to say thanks, and also give a shout out also to the Transit Committee. So thank you all for your participation and involvement, and continued, in, you know, helping us improve this as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, and I would just like to add one thing, or couple things actually. Our TAC has been very instrumental in helping, and just great with their vision and assistance. But honestly, it's the public. They have accepted and embraced this service. They're users, they believe in it, and I'd like to put a shout out to the community as well, the riders.
Great. Thank you, Deb.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll stand adjourned until 7 o'clock. Got 5 minutes. 8 minutes.
I told you so.
I told you. No, but of course, you know, and again, it's
Well, you're on.
in there too.
Sure. I'm
That's
thrilled
on top
about
of it,
it.
I know.
I did have worries, but.
And I love seeing it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's city council meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. Our first order of business tonight is our invocation and our pledge of allegiance. Tonight we have Pastor Willie Stevens from Crossroads Church, and then please remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Pastor?
Good evening. It's a privilege and an honor to have this opportunity to be with you tonight, and to our honorable mayor, all the members of the city council. I appreciate this. It's a rare opportunity, and what can I say more? I just need all your autographs when I'm done. Bow your heads with me if you would, please. Our Father in heaven, as we gather here this evening, may your Holy Spirit overshadow this meeting. Bless everyone with the fortitude to face the challenges ahead. As your word tells us in James 1:5, if any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. We expect you, Father, to continually bless Casa Grande City Council and their constituents. Bless the members with courage. Give them wisdom and knowledge to be well equipped to face any obstacle that may disrupt their plans for our city's future. Bless each person here and those that are absent with good health. May those within the sound of my voice take away something that inspires them to be a greater force in our community and faithful representatives of the cross. In Jesus Christ's holy name, everyone said, amen and amen. God bless you.
I pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, I pushed your chair in.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. All right, next item on our agenda is the roll call. Let the roll call show that everyone's present except for Mr. Lavender. I believe he has an excuse, so if we could get an excuse.
So moved.
Yes.
Before you excuse Mr. Lavender, he did just text me and indicated that they'd be here approximately 7:30.
All right, we'll give him a late excuse then. Does he need a late excuse if he's going to be here? No, okay. All right. What if he doesn't show up?
He's got an unexcused absence then.
Then he has an unexcused absence. Okay. All right. Minutes is our next item on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the council regular meeting of September 16, 2024, accept the minutes of the Arts and Culture Commission meeting of September the 9th, 2024, accept the minutes of the Youth Commission meeting of September the 14th, 2024, and accept the minutes of the Community Service Advisory Board meeting of August the 22nd, 2024.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next is claims, item D.
Mayor McFarland, I move to accept and pay the claims dated September 11th, 2024 through October 1st, 2024 as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, claims are approved. Next is our meeting agenda approval. Larry, you have a change?
Staff is requesting that mayor and council remove item G13 and that you consider that separately from consent agenda. Chief Keen will be making the presentation.
Okay, G13.
Yes, sir.
So we'll consider that then just before public comments. Okay. Any other changes? Anyone? No. All right, seeing no other changes, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment of G13.
Mayor McFarland, I would move for approval of the consent agenda as presented with the exception of G13.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved with the noted amendment. Okay. Next then is our consent agenda. So all items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Is there any other items that we want to remove from the agenda or have further discussion?
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Member McFarland, I would move for approval of the consent agenda as presented with the exception of G13.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, so next item is then G13. This is to consider approval of resolution number 5702, authorizing and ratifying the submission of a grant application to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. Thank you to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation, authorizing us to purchase a vehicle, Polaris, a local vehicle. Chief.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. I just wanted to highlight this item for you this evening because this is a good example of businesses that we work with a lot in the city. This grant is coming from Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation, also Arizona Public Service. So, and we do a lot with APS and a lot with Firehouse grants. This was a case where one of our younger guys asked if he could apply for a Firehouse Subs grant. We said, yeah, run with it, try. And lo and behold, we got it. So I'm asking you to pass Resolution 5702. It's for acceptance of the grant and the purchase of a Polaris Range Crew XP1000. Also, it includes the upfit. That's a vehicle that we use for, you've seen it out. We have it out at the mountain and stuff, and we also have it at a lot of events, the parades and special events. We also can use it when we deploy to like a wildland fire. We can deploy a HURT team or a medical team on that. Which is obviously if it's out of town, we get reimbursed for that. But there's a lot of uses for the vehicle. Firehouse Subs did grant us $41,663.11. I wanted to point out that the original grant, we were having to purchase this from Polaris, which is back in Wisconsin. We did some additional paperwork and some checking, and we actually fixed it and got it set up so that we could actually do it here in town. Ryan Wiles is here. He's the general manager of Iron City Polaris on Pinnell. And I got to go over and check out their new facility. It's beautiful, and our apparatus is sitting over there. They're still waiting for a couple of parts to arrive before they start upfitting it. And once they get it upfitted and done, we'll let you know, so because we'll have a deal over there. So that's really it. This was purchased under a Sourcewell contract, and I think that's it, unless you guys have any questions.
Is there anybody from the Firehouse Subs Foundation here?
They are not. The Firehouse Subs Foundation is actually in Florida.
Okay.
So we're going to do a press release, obviously.
Just
when the
wanted to thank
vehicle's
them, that's
finished.
all.
Yeah, and we're going to have them out to the event when we have it. But the fire department has a really close relationship with Iron City.
Sure.
Anyway, you know, our captain, Chris Stevens, works at Iron City Polaris. So they felt very strongly about working on this project. And
Yeah, Ryan, stand up, just to show yourself. There you go. Thank you to Polaris.
But, you know, we'll definitely, when we do the press release, we'll get them involved when we have the unveiling of the Polaris when it's finished.
Cool.
Unless
Good.
you have any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions, anybody?
No.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you.
It's good.
All right, I'll entertain a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5702, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, authorizing and ratifying the submission of a grant application to Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation, authorizing the city manager to accept grant funds in the amount of $42,406.13 for the purpose of purchasing a rescue support vehicle, authorizing the purchase of a rescue vehicle from Iron City Polaris, authorizing the city manager to execute grant and purchase agreements, authorizing the city finance director to accept and disperse funds as necessary, and authorizing the transfer of budget authority.
Mayor McFarland, I move that we approve resolution number 5702 as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is our public comment section, and I would, since I think there are several people here that are planning to speak on item L1, which is our public hearing, I would recommend that if you're here for that you wait for that, because it is a public hearing, and you'll have an opportunity to speak. But if there's anyone else here who is here for any other subject, then this is your opportunity to address the council. I would ask you to approach the podium. I think all these that I have, all these speaking cards are here, although Brian Patrick, were you here for that? Yes, I am. For the L1? Okay, then I'll hold your card. And then, again, keep your comments to 3 minutes, and understand it's not agendized, so we can't really respond, if you will. So if there's anyone here to speak on any other subject, this is your opportunity. I will open the floor. All right, so you're all here for L1. Great. So I'm going to close the floor, and we'll move on. Move on to award of contracts and L1, Resolution 5703.
Thank you. Staff recommends that the mayor and city council authorize a contract with Sunland Asphalt and Construction LLC to perform our annual pavement preservation program for this year. Staff is requesting authorization to contract this through a City of Glendale job order contract, and that is number C22-1292. This project will consist of a variety of pavement treatments, depending on the what each pavement section, the condition is. And we spent a lot of time looking at our pavement conditions that are done with our pavement management system, and then evaluated that with our staff, as well as bringing in our contractor to look at each of those pavement segments to make sure that we're using the appropriate level of treatment to move this program forward. We did budget $2.7 million for this in this year's fiscal budget, and we're asking for full spending authority of that to provide us with a little bit of contingency. But the contract as proposed is $2,402,431. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, anybody? No. All right, thank you, Kevin. I don't see any questions, so I'll call for a resolution number, please. Nope, wrong one. Yeah,
Yes,
resolution number,
resolution.
sorry.
Resolution number 5703, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Sunland Asphalt and Construction LLC for the annual pavement preservation program, authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing execution of a contract with or purchase order to Sunland Asphalt and Construction LLC.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5703 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we do have boards and commissions appointments tonight. This is our youth commission. And I'm going to kind of hand this off to you, Matt.
Thanks, Mayor. With the Youth Commission, it's not a city council, or a student council, it's not a student service club, it's an official board of the city.
Right.
And as we've been talking over these years, I know the mayor and Donna have done a lot of work with the boards, and it was thought of, hey, why don't we get youth representation, because we really want to hear from them, and one more opportunity for them to let their voice be heard on these commissions, but also, get them involved in the process, and because that's what they want to do. They spend a lot of time working on this commission, so they want to be on even more commissions. So it's great, and it'll be great to have that good, a good outlook from the future, just to hear how they're doing. And also, they will be non-voting members of the commissions, but yet they'll get to share their opinions and be able to speak and everything. But it'd be just a great way to get more people involved in our boards and commissions, especially with that voice of the youth. So I think this is an
It's
exciting
not
thing.
every board, right? It's-
No, just
Which boards is it?
the Arts and Culture Commission, Community Service Advisory Board, Historic Preservation, and Transit Advisory, which we heard from earlier. So, yeah. So the ones that really affect the younger people in Casa Grande.
Excellent. Yeah, this would be a good opportunity for them, and it's a good opportunity for us too, so. All right. We just need to approve that then? Okay.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve the following youth commissioners to serve terms starting November 2024, ending June 20th, 2025. For the Arts and Culture, Youth Commissioner Quinn Wong. Community Service Advisory Board, Youth Commissioner Sarah Olson. Historic Preservation Commission, Youth Commissioner Anthony Amato. And the Transit Advisory Committee, Youth Commissioner Kendra Wilson.
I don't see them here, they're not here.
They're not, a lot of them are at the other meeting and got some stuff going on, yeah.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, well, congratulations to those new 4 commissioners and their appointment. All right, next we're going to move to item K. This is considering approval resolution number 5704. This is our short-term rental regulations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight for your consideration is an ordinance for the short-term rental regulation like we've talked about previously. In the study session back in May, staff recommended and council supported having a short-term rental take more of an ordinance for short-term rentals take more of a balanced approach where aspects that would be helpful in regulating the short-term rentals would be included, where things that could be overly burdensome wouldn't be. And the ordinance before you does include that, where the state statute allows a variety of different things, and the aspects that were allowed to be included in the ordinance that staff determined would be beneficial were included, and the ones that seemed that they may not be as much of an ROI for the impact that would have on the property owners were not included. And so that would be as least impactful on them in a negative way. And so the intent of this, to reiterate, is not to try to regulate for the sake of regulating the property owners for short-term rentals. Instead, it's to ensure that any problems can be dealt with and can be addressed, and that the neighbors for the short-term rentals can be able to maintain a high quality of life. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, Rob, I mean, the primary purpose is really just kind of get them to register as a business in town so that we know who we're dealing with. If a neighbor has a problem with somebody, then we know who the owner is and we can actually contact the owner directly versus a renter who might be, a short-term renter, who might be in there renting for a week. So, plus if there's issues, then we know who to go to. Anybody have any other comments or questions? No.
I've got a question that,
Sure.
when I was kind of doing some research on this, it says properties, but I know there's people that rent out a room in their home. Like, so the primary person is usually there. Are they required as well to get, if they just not renting out the whole property, but just part of it?
It's a good question, Councilmember Herman, and yes, even just a single room would be counted as a property under the ordinance.
Okay. And what about the pool rental thing? Is that, honestly?
People do that,
Have you
yeah.
heard it? Yeah. Is that part of this, or is it just for people that are spending the night or whatever?
So there's a specific pool that was included?
No, like, some people
To
do
rent
short-term
out.
rentals, like you can rent someone's pool for a day?
Correct.
Or an afternoon?
So that would be counted as a property as well. So
Okay.
any location that has a dwelling place and any other amenities would all be lumped in as one property.
Donna?
You know, I had the opportunity to sit on the League of Cities and Towns committee when this first came up. And, you know, we're very fortunate because Sedona, Fountain Hills, and some of those communities kind of was behind the ball. And they had a lot of trouble with short-term rentals. So this is a balanced approach for us without taking away from the homeowner.
Property
with that.
rights.
So I think, right, and I think that this is a happy medium for us to look at. And the nice thing about ordinance is we can always go back and fine tune it if we have to. But this is a really good place for us.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Rob.
Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no other comments or questions, then I will call for resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5704, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, declaring as a public record a certain document pertaining to short-term rental regulations.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of resolution number 5704 as presented.
Second.
All right, it should be noted, too, that we've had several study sessions on this. This has been something that the council's pretty familiar with. So, all right, then I will ask for, I have a motion, a second. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. Right, public hearing tonight, which
I'm
is,
sorry.
Oh.
Council-
There is a second item with that, because you adopt a resolution which
Oh, I
basically
see it.
adopts that by reference, and then the ordinance itself. So
all right, then I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria. Sorry, I didn't see that, even though it's bolded.
Ordinance number 3447, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending the Casa Grande Municipal Code by adopting chapter 5.28 relating to the regulating short-term rentals, establishing penalties for violation thereof, providing for the severability, and establishing an effective date.
Mayor McFarland, I would move.
Well, that's pretty good, though.
You were right on.
Y'all were right on.
Stereo.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 3447 as presented.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Gloria, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, now for the public hearing.
Sweet.
All right, so item L1 is to consider approval, what,
Should we recess until Jeff gets here?
no?
Nope.
Do we want to wait for Jeff, or what do you want to do? I mean, it could be half an hour, it could be 10 minutes.
You said approximately 7:30 here, so you might want to start with the presentation.
Yeah, I think we'll start. So item L1 is a public hearing considering approval of ordinance number 1178454, which is a zoning, changing zoning from urban ranch to planned area development, to PDA. We'll start with the presentation, and Mr. Gagliardi, you're on.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council members. So this request in front of you this evening is for a zone change for approximately 5 acres of property, currently zoned urban ranch, and the request is for a planned area development zone to accommodate a proposed quick trip. A little bit of background on this request. In March, Planning Commission, on a vote of 5-2, moved to forward a recommendation to council that you approve this zone change. At that same meeting, Planning Commission, on a vote of 4-3, approved the associated major site plan for Quick Trip, subject to conditions of record and subject to city council approval of this zone change. And of course, we're talking about the property located at the southeast corner of McCartney and Tucker. On June 3rd, this zone change request was presented to City Council, but the matter was tabled to provide an opportunity for Quick Trip to take into consideration feedback received during the public comment portion, and also to host a neighborhood meeting. That neighborhood meeting was held in July, and it was attended by approximately 22 residents, primarily from the McCartney Center neighborhood to the northwest. As a result of the feedback received and the neighborhood meeting, I wanted to outline some of the changes from the original request and what's in front of you this evening. Originally, a 7,300 square foot store was proposed that also had entailed 7 bays, highlighted in orange on the screen, for diesel truck fueling under a 4,200 square foot canopy. And there were 15 large parking spaces to the rear of the site to accommodate large vehicles. And within the proposed zoning guide, there was not any restriction imposed regarding duration of parking. The request has since been revised to accommodate a smaller store footprint identified in yellow. It's now proposed to be 5,300 square feet, and they have reduced the number of bays for the diesel truck fueling, highlighted in orange to the rear of the store, to 3 bays, and it's under a 2,200 square foot canopy. They've also reduced the parking spaces for large vehicles to 11, identified in blue on the screen. And they have updated the zoning guide to impose a requirement restricting parking of vehicles over a gross vehicle weight rating of 12,000 pounds to no longer than an hour. And of course, these changes, reducing the size of the store, the fuel canopy, the parking, will result in an amendment to the major site plan. The fuel canopy for regular vehicle fueling to the west of the store, between the store and Tucker, identified in that light red, has not changed. The fact that they have reduced the number of fueling canopy space for the diesel trucks results in a development with minimal fueling for diesel, and it does not provide the type of truck stop amenities found in City Code Section 1712-1520, where a truck stop is defined. A truck stop shall mean any one or more of the following: when you have 4 or more diesel fuel dispensers, 2 or more bays for truck washing, and facilities for diesel engine repair. Of course, a lot of the commentary and concern that we've received has been surrounding the presence of any semi-truck stopping at the facility. That's viewed as an impact regardless of whether there's 1 truck stopping or accommodation for 7 trucks. And then I also want to point out that the signage planned for the site, which was also embedded into the zoning guide, has not changed. There was concern that there would be extra tall signage. However, this zoning proposes monument signs no taller than 15 feet, and within the PAD guide, they're showing a 14-foot tall monument sign that could be placed along Tucker and along McCartney. There is a sign slightly taller than 22 feet for the truck scale, but that's conditioned that it's not allowed to be abutting a public roadway. It would be interior to the site behind the QT store. When reviewing zone changes, the criteria on the screen has to be evaluated, and the staff report that has been provided to you goes into each of these in greater detail, but I do want to talk about the 3 highlighted items because I think they're the most pertinent to this request. The first one is regarding the conformance to the city's general plan. So the site is within the area of our 2030 general plan designated as commerce and business. That's the area in blue. But it is right on the border of the neighborhood's general plan designation identified in yellow. Essentially, Tucker Road is that dividing line between the commerce and business designation and the neighborhood's designation. When turning to the general plan and looking at what that commerce and business general plan category means, it's areas designed to promote uses that can best benefit from Casa Grande's strategic location at the intersection of major interstates. It goes on to say that areas designated as commerce and business are located along interstates, parkways, and specific areas along major arterial roadways, such as McCartney Road, where auto-oriented uses are dominant. The commerce and business category represents a strategic effort to place auto-oriented uses in appropriate environments. And I think the greatest part of the sensitivity here is that it is right on that border between neighborhoods and commerce and business. There is a lot of sensitivity to that. I do want to point out that when you look at our general plan map from a wider scale, most of I-10 is flanked with that commerce and business category because the idea is right off the interstate there would be highway-oriented uses. A lot of that activity would involve trips on and off the interstate, but not necessarily permeating into the city. And also when looking at the general plan category, commercial is listed as one of the appropriate land uses within the commerce and business category. However, when looking into the neighborhoods category, there is some commercial listed, but it's more neighborhood scale. And that would probably denote the difference between the Circle K that is within the neighborhoods category at the northwest corner versus the proposed Quick Trip at the southeast corner. The question is could a business very similar to Circle K be a little bit more intense or more supportable if more intensity was proposed because it was in that commerce and business category? And I do think that the question comes down to the proximity of this site to the neighborhoods category. When looking a little bit deeper into conformance with the general plan, it does have to meet goals, policies, and applicable elements. One goal is to create visibility without compromising attractive streetscapes or community character. It can be argued that the development of this Quick Trip meets that in that the more intense part of that development, the truck fueling is pushed to the south of the building, so the Quick Trip convenience store itself screens that diesel fuel canopy area from view of McCartney. And then and one of the action steps related to that goal is that site auto-oriented businesses to appropriate locations along interstates and or select arterial corridors. Another review criteria associated with zone change is a relationship of the plan elements to conditions both on and off the property. So this screen here just shows you existing and entitled properties that are surrounding the proposed Quick Trip site. Of course, between the site and I-10, you'll see that commercial entitlement has been provided on both north and south of McCartney. And there is, going west of Tucker, however, you do have a little bit less commercial designation. You see some multifamily entitlement, but there is some commercial designation as you get closer to Peart. I do want to point out that one of the proposals associated with this plan is to extend right-of-way for Tucker to the south, and then there will also be some additional public right-of-way east and west south of the site. The reason why this is worth pointing out is because Tucker has been determined by ADOT, Arizona Department of Transportation, as being the first allowable full access intersection west of I-10. They wouldn't support full access intersections any closer to I-10. And so the development that is sitting between this site and I-10 would benefit from full access, and so that's why the east-west right-of-way to the south of the site is proposed. It allows for future development to occur not only to the east, but also to the south. The elevations provided and associated with the major site plan show a typical convenience store that's common to Quick Trip, but a lot of masonry architecture is proposed on all four sides. And of course, the fuel canopies aren't anything particularly spectacular, but as you see, towards the front of the site, west of the SOAR, is for just typical vehicles, and then to the rear of the store, along the back of the site, would be the truck diesel fueling canopy. The other review criteria I want to talk about, and perhaps one of the most significant ones, is traffic and vehicular ingress and egress. Just kind of wanted to walk through some of the improvements that will be required. Associated with the major site plan, we require a traffic impact analysis that's provided by an engineer that the applicant finds. And then that traffic impact analysis is reviewed by our city traffic engineer with the goal to determine the amount of trips proposed to be generated by the use and how that affects the level of service of the roadways used to support this use. And really the idea is that anytime the level of service of those roadways fall below an unacceptable level of service, that has to be mitigated in order to support the plan. And as a result of that traffic impact analysis, it was determined that there does have to be a number of improvements. I do want to start off by saying that adjacent to the development, there would be right-of-way dedication for McCartney Road. So there would be additional public right-of-way helping to meet the designated roadway status of McCartney as a principal arterial. Ultimately, it's designed to be 140 feet wide. So there'd be a 70-foot half-street dedication from the center line. Currently, there's right-of-way south of the center line just through a roadway easement that's 33 feet wide. And then there would be a number of improvements made to both McCartney and Tucker. The results of the traffic impact analysis did prompt the need for a traffic signal at that intersection, and so that would be installed by Quick Trip. There would be a dedicated right turn lane going eastbound on McCartney to go southbound on Tucker. There would be another dedicated right turn lane to access its driveway to the east of the site. There would be a cross-access easement between the Quick Trip site and the property to the east. And then there would be a dedicated left along westbound McCartney into that driveway. This gives you a little bit of a different perspective of the improvements that would be associated with the Quick Trip development. And then the other thing to point out is that along McCartney Road, the city is planning a capital improvement project where McCartney would be widened, and it would be 4 lanes from the ADOT area, just before you get to the bridge over I-10 to Pinnell. It runs the expanse shown here on the
Before you
screen.
get too far on that one, can you go back to that real quick? So this shows, that's not a pork chop then? So it's not a right in, right out only, the one on the right, sorry. The furthest right driveway.
It's proposed as a 3/4. So you wouldn't be able to make a left out of the Quick Trip to go westbound on McCartney, but it would allow lefts in going.
Right in.
Can you make a right out?
Right.
You can make a right out.
So the arrow needs to be over a little bit to the left of that, right?
Correct.
Technically. So, because you have a right out there, right?
Yes.
Okay,
There, really, I would have corrected it by adding another arrow, but yes,
okay, all right. It just looked off, sorry.
fair enough.
Okay.
And then this gives you a little closer view of what those city improvements would look like, combined with what improvements Quick Trip would be doing. This is in the area around Tucker Road and McCartney. And then this is just a little bit further west as you get closer to Palomino. Of course, some of these improvements are also being installed with the developing apartment complex at the northeast corner of Palomino and McCartney. The area of concern, though, is the part that's ADOT controlled, just before the bridge. Of course, that's not part of the planned city improvements, and a lot of the concerns received is, well, what about the traffic generated from this use going back towards the interstate? Hey, that's great that the roadway's being widened in front of the site and then ultimately all the way to Pinnell, but what about this pinch point here? So ADOT was one of the reviewers of that traffic impact analysis, and they did accept it, provided that Quick Trip make the previously discussed improvements adjacent to their site, the traffic signal, the turn lanes, etc. It is acknowledged that the I-10 bridge and ramps do perform at a level of service F, which is considered an unacceptable level of service. However, the amount of impact that Quick Trip is contributing to that is negligible. There's 44 truck trips at peak hour, and a trip is considered one way. So technically there's 22 trucks visiting that site at its peak hour and 196 vehicular trips other than trucks per peak hour associated with Quick Trip. And the reason why ADOT accepted this is that it's not made worse. The delay that is resulting due to this business is not increased by more than 20 seconds, and so therefore QT's presence does not worsen the level of service to the bridge or on-ramps, which is ultimately why ADOT accepted this. Regarding the public notification process, we did follow that which is required by city code. And of course, we have received many comments. There has been some additional correspondence distributed to you just before the meeting. And of course, there are plenty of people in the audience who probably would like to express their concerns. With regard to recommendations, Planning Commission did forward a recommendation to council on a vote of 5-2 at their March meeting, recommending that City Council approve this zone change, subject to the following condition, and that is the standard condition regarding right-of-way dedication. And The other conditions that I talked about, such as the requirement for a traffic signal, et cetera, is tied to their major site plan approval. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay. Well, before we open the public hearing, I've got a couple of things that I want to do. I'm going to allow the council to ask some questions and pose some questions, and then we'll have the applicant come up and make some comments, and then we'll open the public hearing. Would ask that when we do open the public hearing, I'll remind you before we do that, but keep your comments to 3 minutes. Obviously, state your name for our records, and please honor that time frame. We would appreciate it. And then we'll close the public hearing, and then if the applicant has some comments to answer maybe some of the questions, we'll give them an opportunity to do that. And if the council has any further comments, we'll open it back up to the council as well. All right? So, okay, so council first. Do you guys have some questions? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Levener.
James, could you go back to the slide? I think it's about 4 back that shows the bridge. From the black line where it goes to 1 lane to the bridge, how many feet is that approximately? Is that black line where it goes to 1 lane?
Yeah, actually, the black line should be shifted a little bit more to the left where you see that dirt road.
So from that dirt road to the on-ramp to the east, how many feet is that?
I don't know.
So you also wouldn't know to the bridge either, correct?
Right. From the black line to Tucker is under a 1/4 mile, but I don't know what the distance is from the black line east.
McCartney's currently 35 miles an hour, am I correct?
Yes.
So 45, thank you. So 2 cars heading down 45, a big truck pulling out. We're all going to squeeze into 1 lane. And the ADOT doesn't think that's a problem? Okay, you don't have to answer that. I have a question on the bridge. Is that funded federally like the bridge on Courtson, or is that a ADOT funded bridge to widen it to 4 lanes?
Yes and yes.
I'd have Mo
Wherever we can
Muir,
get it,
our
it's
city
both.
traffic engineer.
Because I
weigh in on
remember
that.
when I bought a house in Mission Valley in 2004, I was told that Courtson Road was going to be a off-ramp from I-10. It's 20 years ago. I've never heard McCartney Ranch part of the widening. Is there any plans to widen McCartney Ranch at any time during this decade?
Are you talking about widening the right-of-way for McCartney
Are
Road?
there any plans to make McCartney Ranch's bridge over I-10 4 lanes anytime in the near future?
I could have Monier weigh in on that. It would ultimately need to be, but in terms of when that would be planned for, I don't think
I would think the need to be would be when we extend McCartney Road 4 lanes and to squeeze it into 2 lanes on a road heavily traveled by youth drivers. And now the possible of trucks coming out as well is just, I just have real concerns about the safety. Thank you, sir.
Do you want him to answer the question? Yeah.
Mr. Mayor and the council, if I may respond to
ahead.
your question.
Go ahead.
I'm the traffic engineer. So that bridge that you are looking at, that is a federally controlled freeway and administered by ADOT. So it has to be funded through ADOT. It is not a city infrastructure. At this time, ADOT doesn't have any plan on expanding this bridge in the near future. We are in constant contact with ADOT. They don't have the funding. So if they have the funding, this project will be programmed in their 5 years, but in next 5 years, it is not programmed yet. But to improve the McCartney Road, you heard about that. We have undertaken the CIP project for the McCartney Road from the city section next to the ramp up to the Pinal Avenue. But we are also preliminary, we have started the conversation about signalizing those ramps. It is very preliminary. We don't have specifics yet, but we are considering different options. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, did. Thank you.
Yeah, ADOT doesn't have enough money for any of their roads, so I think any new improvements on any of our interchanges are gonna be made by us or dollars that we can go find from federal opportunities, federal grants, which we've been trying to do for the last 5 years at Courtson and I-10 and have failed every year so far. But I don't think we should give up on it. I think that we'll get it done, and I think this should be one of those targets. And Larry, we talked about doing some improvements here that were not in the original plans. We have a bond that will help us make McCartney 4 lanes, 5 lanes really, with a center lane. So 4 driving lanes that go from Pinal Avenue all the way to I-10, just short of I-10. And it seems kind of ridiculous that we don't finish it to the, at least to the off-ramps and the on-ramp. So it's another, can't be more than 100 feet. That if we add 4 lanes all the way to that on-ramp that's going to the south to Tucson, and the off-ramp that comes from Phoenix, that becomes the second lane. So it's a through lane and it's a through off ramp or on ramp. So the second lane continues and it doesn't just stop before you get to these ramps. That would address half of this interchange. Mm-hmm. And if we put a signal here and a signal on the other side, that improves the safety of both these on and off ramps. And I think it addresses a lot of the traffic issue, which obviously it's an issue today whether Quick Trip is developed or not. And so whatever happens here, there's something going to be built down in this area. And it's going to impact traffic on McCartney. It's going to impact that interchange. And what we have to do is figure out a way to address this traffic and move forward with projects that are good projects for the city that actually will help bring in revenue for the city. I know that's not everybody's concern, but 80% of our revenue that the city operates on is derived from sales tax. Not property tax, not other taxes, it's sales tax and shared revenue sales tax that we get from the state. So good quality businesses are important to our revenue, important to the city, important to the services as well. So, and Larry, where are we at on that? I mean, can you kind of maybe help clarify that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I can blend some of the remarks that Monier just made to the point that you were raising, Mr. Mayor. So, and I think Mr. Gagliardi is correct. The black line that you see here should be moved closer to the dirt road area there. That there's a piece of state land that's in this segment as well. I believe that that's roughly 1,000 feet between that and the ramps. Okay, just to give everybody a context. The scope that the mayor was just suggesting was something that staff was asked to look into last week, and I believe it's likely the study element that Monier was just speaking about a few minutes ago, and it does just what the mayor outlined. It could potentially do what the mayor outlined. It is not included in the initial McCartney Road improvements that we have been designing to this point. Our design would ultimately end at the city limits, at the city right of way, if you will. However, it's something that we could certainly evaluate and have discussions with the Arizona Department of Transportation on, and that is extending, if you're traveling eastbound, it would be the furthest lane on the outside that ultimately would merge into the ramp. If you're coming off of the ramp, it would be, and going westbound, it would be the lane. But to Councilman Lavender's point, there's always going to be a pinch point in this, right? But what it does is it perhaps relieves some of the traffic going off, particularly off of this area onto the interstate before that pinch point occurs. If you did nothing to those ramps, it certainly would create a more, what I consider to be noticeable pinch point. Monir talked briefly about the traffic signals as well. And these are primarily safety improvements and what I would consider to be functionality improvements because of the capacity issue over the actual bridge structure itself. Traffic signals could be placed at both the eastern as well as the western ramp area, again, to slow the traffic, control the traffic, and allow for intermittent type of release of that traffic into the road. And so just to give everybody a context, our initial estimate from a staff perspective, and again, very preliminary because we just started looking at it last week, would be roughly $5 to $6 million. And to even build that with more specificity, you'll find that the signals are roughly $1 million. So $1 million on the east, $1 million on the west, and so you're looking at somewhere between $3 and $4 million for the extension of the lanes up to these ramps. That is not included in our project. That's not included in our budget. It is a project that once finalized, the council could actually evaluate. From a timing perspective, we are starting our budget for fiscal year 26. I know that's hard to believe that we're just in October, but it could be included in a capital improvement program if that is the desire of the council. Mayor, does that answer the question? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Larry. Go ahead, Matt.
Thanks, Larry Monir, for that, because when we were in a meeting the other day, the mayor and I, Donna was there, and we were drawing this out because we were realizing how big of a thing that is, even right now, for everybody. So I think it's important that we do everything we can to get that going into our next project so that we hopefully can maybe just do it all at one time. I know it's easy to say, Larry, and he's looking at me like, you got to find $5 million. But, I mean, the people that live here, I think it's very important to them. It's very important to the city to increase the revenue because it's going to help, help that traffic a lot more. So I hope that we really study that and get something pretty good going with that.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, great.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just comment on Councilman Herman's feedback. It certainly is something that we can have sufficient study for that mayor and council can consider that as part of the next fiscal year budget. But I do think that the dialogue, I know that the dialogue that has been presented and has been made, the comments that have been made, this widening of the bridge structure itself is not in the ADOT's 5-year plan. Right. I don't know that it's even been discussed in a 10-year window either. But as the mayor has pointed out, there could be the potential, and I don't want to misrepresent. These things are very costly, right? Yeah. These widening of bridge structures are very. This would likely require a brand new interchange, but the mayor's point about us pursuing federal funds, that's something that staff routinely does as well, and no doubt that we will likely be put into a position that if we want to accelerate in advance of ADOT finding the funds, that we're going to have to find some federal funds to do that.
Thanks, Larry. Anthony?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make a comment. I mentioned this the last time. I'm the one that brought up the freeway. Diesel's making that left-hand turn if they're heading towards Phoenix from Tucson. That's a tough spot. And without the lights there, we can't do it. There's no way. Or it's a safety issue here. Already, if you go by there, they're coming real fast over the bridge as well as coming from CEC that way. And so, to QT, I do not have an issue with QT being right there. I don't. My biggest thing is the infrastructure that needs to be in place with the roadways. And I believe the city is talking about the 4 lanes there on McCartney down to Pert, which I'm excited about that. Perfect. But this big thing is that freeway, crossing that freeway over the top. And I know it may be down the road that we'll be able to do this. I know we have a lot of people that are against and for, but I believe that if we had the right infrastructure in place, this would be no problem. Just imagine putting what we have at Florence Boulevard down there. And I know it's costly. It's going to cost us. But I just don't see us moving forward without those things in place. And so that's where I stand.
Well, first I want to, thank QT. I mean, you guys have been great partners and, your other facilities here and, of course, all over the Phoenix area. I frequent the one over on 40th Street and the 202. My daughter lives right there. I'm always off there, and it's a beautiful, store there. But they don't have diesel fueling stations there. I definitely noticed it the other day. So, so of course I'm like, well, why, the last meeting that was a concern, is making it a truck stop. And I appreciate you coming back and adjusting that, reducing the fueling stations to 3. But I'm still concerned that it still is a truck stop. I understand no showers, I understand no travel center and all those things, but, there was a slide that came up here when you had signage, and I don't know, Paul, or if you guys can find the slide that had the signage on it. If it wasn't really a truck stop, why do we have a signage that says, certified scales entrance? And why do we have, is that still in? It looks like it, because that was in the presentation. And then we still, this one right here, certified scales, because that's for trucks, right? I mean, that's what I would imagine, big trucks, but, so that's there, and then we have the parking spots that were reduced, but there's still 11 in the rear of the facility. So I do feel that it still is a truck stop. So, but not because it's 4 bays instead of 3. So that concerns me. And then secondly, we talk a lot about the traffic, and exactly what you said, and with Councilmember Lavender talked about, on the infrastructure on the overpass. And of course, I want to thank all the voters in Casa Grande for voting on the bond, for the expansion and improvements on McCartney Road. As you all know, we're all on that road all the time. We need it. And so thank you to all of you that voted for those improvements. And we're excited for those to start. So we're going to have 4 lanes now. But we're not talking even, and this I brought up at the last meeting, also is, and Councilmember Lavender touched on it a little bit, is safety and traffic even going the other way towards Pinal. Do we want to create another, Pinal? And I understand the mayor and I had a conversation, and he said, Lisa, this is a main road in our city. It's going to grow. This is things are going to happen here. But is this the right time? And with traffic and why are we encouraging trucks to get off on McCartney when we know we have an issue? I mean, there's it's an F rating. I get it. I totally respect the traffic engineers, and, they're saying that by having 22 extra vehicles in an hour, it's not going to increase it, but we still have major issues in that, in that overpass and, that area. So, I just don't know why we're encouraging trucks, to get off in that area. And then
They get off there now.
Yeah, but they're not. There's fueling stations, and then they're going to go across.
You all have your time to comment, please.
And then they're going to go across McCartney to Pinal and get onto Pinal. I'm just worried it's going to be, or people coming from our industrial area coming across Pinal to fuel up and get on. I'm just concerned about the traffic going through the high school, going on to Pinal. We're all on Pinal when it is crazy with some of the trucks on Pinal right now. So if this passes, I hope the city is doing something to monitor that. Trucks going across Pinal, and someone else, raised this concern at the last meeting too, with traffic going on McCartney. So I'm looking forward to listening to all of you that came today. I think it's important. I spent a lot of time in that neighborhood this last summer, and visiting people at their homes, and I heard a lot of people that were concerned. And so I want to hear, though. I mean, there's a lot of people here today. We've received a lot of correspondence, and so I look forward to hearing what you have to say. But because we want people to give us input, and I understand your point. I mean, I understand the economic. love the idea of QT being there. I love your stores, I mean, I really do, but the fueling piece, the skate, it really, to me, still looks, you know, like a truck, you know, facility, and I just think at this point, but I am looking forward to hearing what some of our, you know, from the people here in the audience today have to say.
Okay, Bob?
Ditto to everything that Lisa said. I know the last meeting, we made it very clear that we love Quick Trip. I mean, you guys are the premier convenience store, and we welcome you coming. It boils down to that issue of, like Lisa said, why are we serving big trucks to any extent? And the current convenience stores that I know of, they don't have truck fuel. They do have diesel fuel for pickup trucks and stuff. Now, whether a semi could pull in there and refuel, I don't think so, because of canopy heights and types of fuel and all that. But I think everyone, including the neighborhood people, would welcome what we see as your standard Quick Trip store. They're clean, they're friendly, they serve a purpose in our community, and we love them. My fear is, and I do appreciate you looking at this and trimming it back a little bit from the original proposal, but my fear is that even though there are fewer diesel truck fuel islands, I am afraid that you may seek expansion on that in the future, that you may eventually turn this into more of what we consider a truck stop. And even beyond that, I'm afraid that if we start allowing what we see as truck stops in this area, there's still a lot of room around that I-10 intersection. And I am afraid for our community and our residents in that area that could turn into what we've seen at other locations as multiple truck stops when other companies start saying, well, I want to build there too. I want to serve the truckers, and mine's going to be just a little bit larger than the last one. I worry about going down that path. And I will be voting no tonight on this. And if I could sum up my fears, I think we're leaving a door, i.e. the opportunity of having a truck stop at this location. I think we're leaving a door cracked open just a little bit that we would be better off if we just slammed it shut.
So just a couple comments. You know, I think that I've heard the word responsibility a couple times. QT has been responsible in their efforts to look at this and curb things back. I applaud you, because I really feel that you have listened to the community in what they've said. It's not what they want, that is clear. I think who is not responsible is ADOT, because as was mentioned before, it doesn't matter what we put there, that is going to be an area that has to be improved. Unfortunately, it's going to come at our cost and your cost. If we want that to be the responsible way to do it, whether it be $5 million or $7 million, no one is going to want to come into that area like QT has if we don't do something as a city. And I just think it's a crime in itself that ADOT is not more responsible, and they're causing us to lose revenue. And I think that's a very clear message. So I'm interested to hear what the community has to say. I will say that I have received probably 30-some different emails over the weekend. I responded to every one of them. I want you to know that whether you're for or against it, we've taken this seriously. But I've also taken QT seriously because of the fact that they have gone out of their way multiple times to try to make this work.
All right, so I'm going to let the applicant have an opportunity to present your.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. I think I already voted or counted some votes already, but we're here tonight, so I figured I'd come up here and tell you a little bit about QT and what we're proposing. Is the slide deal going to pop? While we wait for that, for your record, my name is Brian Greathouse with the law firm Birch & Cracchiolo. I've been representing QT for 10, 12 years. My firm's been representing them for over 20 years. Been many different cities, many different challenges along the way. We're used to some opposition. This seems like there's a little more opposition due to 3 semi-truck fueling bays. And you're correct. We did listen to the neighbors, and we tried to come back with a compromise. We're at 3 diesel bays right now. We were at 7. We were asked to eliminate the truck parking. We did not eliminate all the parking yet because we do think it's needed in that area. We have seen trucks parked along the shoulder. We know that it's a main trucking corridor in the United States along I-10 there. And a lot of the other properties in that area, north, south, and east, are already zoned B2, which allows things like hotels, extended stays, motels, restaurants, all of which could have semi-truck parking, right? All of those uses can have semi-truck parking to accommodate people who need parking and need to eat and need to get fuel. And that's why we can't eliminate all the semi-truck bays here. And that's why we came back with 3. We anticipate the customers here to be about 82% passenger vehicles and about 18% larger vehicles, probably mostly semi-trucks, but other things too, like boats and big box trucks and big RVs and things like that. And so that 18% of revenue is critical, right? We're all in business. It's critical for this store to just prosper, and that's why we have not eliminated all of those semi-truck bays. There were many comments about QT. They are a wonderful company. Clean stores, fast, friendly, good service. Their people are out on the site cleaning things. They're talking to people, and that's part of their security mechanism. They have a lot of visibility around the site. The front desk faces the front to cut down on crime, loitering, and stealing, and those sorts of things. They have over 50 cameras at their stores, inside and out. You're always being recorded. They have great relationships with first responders. So as we talk about truck stop, and I know we're going to hear that term a lot tonight, and this is not a truck stop under the city's legal definition for a truck stop, but this is not TA, it's not Pilot, it's not Flying J, it's Quick Trip. They will operate it well if you allow them to have the very small amount of bays that they're proposing with 3. Jim covered the changes very well. We've decreased the size of the store, limited the number of bays, and decreased the parking spaces. As we talked about, McCartney Road's going to be improved from Pinal down to almost the ADOT interchange. QT is paying for their portion out in front of their site. A lot of times you'll hear development pays for itself, and that's how cities build roadways, is with developers building things. They do put more traffic on the road, but they also build infrastructure. This traffic, or this interchange, can really use a signal. I mean, to have two-way traffic in each direction, dedicated left and right turn lanes, all stop controlled, will be a great improvement to safety in the area. Another thing that works very well, as QT's seen, is when 2 gas stations are kitty-cornered from each other, because right in, right out is the most safest movement, and that's the movement most people want to make because they don't have to wait to turn left out or wait to turn left in. Like I talked about earlier, we think This site will generate about 82% passenger vehicles. And to give you a context of what that would do to McCartney Road today, McCartney Road today is designed to carry about 15,000 trips. Adding the QT trips, you'd still have a little bit of capacity in the roadway for a little more development, about 10.8%. But if you look at what McCartney's going to be, east and west, 2 lanes, there's going to be plenty of capacity in the maximum of 36,300 vehicles per day. I touched upon it earlier a little bit. QT is a safe and secure site. We might hear stuff about prostitution tonight, drug trafficking, crime, all these things that are stigmas of truck stops. And I don't hang out at truck stops very much, so I can't tell you yes or no, but I know QT, and I know they're going to run a very nice operation here. Their staff, their security, everything is just in tune to be fast and rapid response to any kind of problems. And they always partner with local police. A lot of times you'll see the police officers in their parking lot filling out reports and things. We were asked about crime quite a bit. This is LexisNexis. These are the 2 QT sites in Casa Grande. The icon, like the one with the little brown money bag in it, that's a prosecuted crime in the last year. That's probably burglary, I don't know, but that is a crime. As you can see around the other QT sites on Florence, there's no crimes that have been prosecuted in the last year. This is QT's site down in Tucson, which is a big travel center. It's not what's being proposed today. It does have truck services. As you can see in the last year, no crimes have been prosecuted around there. You can see a few crimes that have occurred further up on I-10 to the west. This is another Goodyear example. That we recently had a Goodyear case, but no crimes have been prosecuted at 2 different QTs along the I-10 up in Goodyear in the last year. If you look at a truck stop like the one on, what's that, Sandfield Drive?
Sunland.
Yeah, where the other truck stops are located up there. You can see crimes that have been prosecuted there. I don't know what the yellow star is. I don't know what the gray star is, but you can see those are all crimes that were prosecuted in the last year at that location. I think I'll end there. I want to answer your question about signage and the scale sign. Due to federal regulation, trucks have to weigh themselves, weigh in and weigh out, and it's a big deal to them, so that's why the scale's there. Yeah. And that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Any questions?
Matt, that's one. Yeah, again, I want to thank QT. They've been, listened to the neighborhood, made some changes. The scale is kind of something I wasn't expecting, but the other thing I wanted to say, though, is you said it in so many words, but to be clear, the 18% is probably going to be a deal killer if you don't have the diesel pumps, even if you had a regular QT for a few years until the road got improved, not necessarily the whole overpass, but the signals and going up there as a city to make it better. I don't know if that's possible to phase it. It's still with the 3, but you know, that may be something, because it seems like most people say, hey, QT would be good here. I mean, no one's disagreeing with that at all. But, you know, maybe the traffic seems to be the biggest issue, and I don't know if that's even an option. And probably start a whole new thing for that, but, you know, just throwing it, trying to make something work. I know.
I can ask my client, yeah.
So. Make that conditional, though. I don't know.
It's a great question, and could have been a solution, except land cost, capital improvement cost, roadway offsite cost. There's a lot here, and got to get some more bang at the front end. So, yes, unfortunately, it is a deal killer. Not because we want it to be, just because people who do the math doesn't work out for them.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Can I, Mayor?
Yeah,
Can I
go ahead,
ask
Rob.
another question?
Sure.
What you just said would imply that you can't make this work in a business plan without the diesel fuel for trucks. Is that what you're saying?
It's a significant amount of the customer base at this location based on our Institute of Traffic Engineer trip generation studies we've done.
Okay. Well, I'm no expert in that area, but I will say when I first heard Quick Trip was going to go in at that location, I am at that Circle K across the street sometimes twice a day, and I can't believe how busy it is. And I was not surprised at all that another convenience store would come in and want to be right across the street from the Circle K. I would guess it's the busiest one in town and one of the busiest in their chain. I don't know if that's true or not, but they do a lot of business there, and I would question that statement that Quick Trip can't make it there without diesel service for big trucks. I think you'd do wonderful there without the diesel. And the Circle K doesn't have diesel other than the smaller pumps for pickup trucks and such. And I see those busy every day. So I don't know if falling back on, well, without the diesel truck fuel, we can't make it, because that's hard to believe. Anyway, just a comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to open the public hearing. I do have some cards here. Since you all, the three of you filled out a card, I'm going to call on you first. Let's go with, is it Michael I can't read your writing, Michael. Oh, it's you.
Michael Scortino, 2865 North Rosa Lane here in Casa Grande. Yeah, same to you. And,
Yeah, and wait, before you start,
So they,
don't start him yet.
So anyways,
Hold on one
what-
second.
what-
Hold on, Michael, just a second. And just as a reminder, this is the public hearing, so I'm opening the public hearing, and you have, keep your comments to 3 minutes. The light will indicate to you when you're kind of nearing the end, if Gloria can get it working. Either that or you can all talk for 5 seconds.
It's like that GM commercial, you gotta push the button.
What are you doing?
I don't know, that's playing on its own.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
So I gave the address and everything again, or just go on?
No, we got you.
Okay, good enough. I've been living in McCartney Center since 2005, when we all had to stand in line for a lottery to get a lot. We decided we wanted to go there. We rented a home just down the street. We got into that one, figuring, okay, there's going to be a lot more growth here. Understandable. You know, you need housing, multifamily, townhomes, whatever the case may be. And we got 3 or 4, I don't know, Jim, you can help me on that, but 3 or 4 different multifamily housing projects going in there. And I think you said at one time about 400 residential homes they're thinking about putting over there. So is there going to be more traffic? Yes. The only thing that I'm concerned about, and I think half the people in McCartney Center is concerned about, is we don't want to refuel trucks. End of story. You know, we were willing to put a store there. You could put 50 gas pumps there. I know what Councilman Houston, sorry. What he's saying is that place is a madhouse. It is a madhouse, because I have to drive by it to turn into my neighborhood. So I know what it's like. Now you're gonna put 3 more apartments there, all these houses. Yeah, do we have a need for another fueling station? I'm like, yes, most definitely. We don't need to be fueling trucks. They can do that in Eloy, they can do that down on the road, down in Chandler. You know, I love QT, everybody does. They wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind the gas. I wish they go in there as gas pumps, you know, like the Circle K. But he's right. I mean, we don't need it. Coming home, say you're coming from Promenade, okay, and you're gonna get off at 190, okay, and you're gonna go west. So you're going westbound on 10, and you're gonna go west on McCartney. I'll sit in that turning lane for a good 15, 20 minutes on a Friday, because all the people wanting to go shopping from the east side of I-10, you have the church out there, you have Pinell County or Hilo, for senior citizens and stuff. So you have a lot of traffic there. That's a main route from Coolidge. Okay, so the traffic's nuts there. I don't think it'd do the city no good to put a diesel fueling semi-tractor trailer truck there. It doesn't serve the community like a regular gas station would. That's all I got to say about it. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. All right, next, Denise Wilder.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Okay, our goal is responsible growth for our residential area. QT diesel fueling station for truckers in our residential area is not a good fit. I seen one off the 202 South, and it's huge, and it's not in a residential area. It's up against an industrial site. A good fit is a regular QT that we know or nothing at all. QT giving money toward an already bond-approved road project, to me, is just a way to get their project approved. All money is not good money. If you build it, they will come. QT, with their sign on the freeway stating auto diesel, will increase traffic. Truckers on their CB, breaker 19, will notify others. Currently, during the weekdays, it's quiet. I live on the back wall, been there since 2005, behind Circle K. From 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., it's quiet. Noise volume only picks up for morning work traffic. With their huge parking lot, truckers will stay throughout the night, even if they have signs posted or it states restricted, or if they move, it'll be along the McCartney. We know this, we have seen it. Please deny their request to change the zoning that will allow them to include the diesel fueling station for truckers in our residential area. That is not a good fit. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Brian Patrick.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Brian Patrick. I've been a resident of McCartney Center for about 10 years now. I'm a homeowner. I've invested in the community. And thank you for taking an interest in that part of town. I like QT, I really do. I got one of those vehicles that takes the top tier fuel. So I frequently use QT, and there's not, I mean, the closest one I got is down here on Florence, or go up to the valley, or the other side of town. I would full-heartedly welcome a community-based QT center there, but not I can't support a commercial vehicle design center. We don't have the infrastructure there for it. I think everybody's pretty well spoken a lot about it. I'm going to yield the remainder of my time, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's it for the speaker card. So is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please come forward. State your name and your address for our record, since I don't have a speaker card.
Hi, my name is Cora Patrick. I live at 1653 East Alameda Place. I'm Brian Patrick's wife. We bought the house there 10 years ago after he retired from the military to raise our boys. Our boys are now 19 and 20 years old. They graduated from ASU Prep, and as it stands right now, they have to make a left to go to CAC for their college to get out of that neighborhood. They're building that new apartment building right there. We come out at Palomino, which is a 5-lane road. We don't have a traffic signal there, and with the new apartment building that's going up there, that's going to mean more cars going in and out and needing that roadway right there. Now, if we're putting in semis and backing up more cars and having more traffic like that, that's just going to compound that and make that more dangerous, not just for my children, but all the other children that are in that neighborhood trying to go and get their education. I have sat there in the last 10 years, watched from being able to make a left out there to sitting there for 10 minutes waiting to make a left out there. And so, with all due respect to you again, I know it's your job to go through city ordinances and find the loopholes so that it's not a truck stop, but all of us know that that's what that is. At our heart and hearts, that's what that is. If it was in your neighborhood, that's how you would feel as well. That's a truck stop, and no city ordinance, no loophole changes the feeling of that. That's just the way that it is. I really hope that you guys do decide to put in that gas station there. I really do. I love QT. It is genuinely, I used to eat there every day on my break. Every day I'd go to work, I would eat there on my break. Half the time I'd eat there for lunch, and I don't eat junk food. So saying that I really do want that as my community, I mean that with all of my heart. But what you guys are wanting, I think would be better suited for a place at like Pinal and I-10, where ADOT has guaranteed that they are going to do improvements to the infrastructure. That infrastructure improvements stops before McCartney Road. So just so that's a reminder for everybody on that council, ADOT's already approved infrastructure changes at Pinal for that kind of store. And it would be perfect, because there's a lot of times trucks wind up having to get diverted through our town because there's a problem between Pinal and Florence. And they'll have them get off at Pinal and then go down and then get back on the highway south of town at Florence. That would be a much better plan for you guys. I'm not saying don't give us our gas station, but for what you're wanting, just an idea. Like, I'm not somebody that wants to run people away, and I like to be a solution person, not somebody that just complains about a problem. So, thank you.
All right. Just FYI, there will be a signal at Palomino and McCartney, by the way. It's coming. Yeah. Yes, sir, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name's Denton Yo, and this is my wife, Erin Yo, and we're Canadians. Don't hold that against us, please. Our first visit to Casa Grande was about 25 years ago, and we've been coming back every year since then. 15 years ago, we bought a house in McCartney Center, and we very, very much love Casa Grande. We love McCartney Center. So when we heard about the decision for a truck stop being approved by your planning commission, and I'm putting out the planning commission here now because I think that decision was not a good decision, because what it says is that you're opening the door at McCartney and I-10 for truck stops. I don't think you want to see that. And so we certainly don't want to see that. And our vision was that you're going to see something like you see in what was the name of the, near Niloy, there's a large truck stop center there, Sunland Gin Road, I think it's called. And there it's appropriate. There's no residential areas nearby. The Planning Commission should be taking into consideration the fact that there is a residential area there, and that's on them to make that recommendation to you. So that is our major concern. We don't want to see truck stop in that area whatsoever. The quick trip with only 3 days of fueling, and I guess maybe 10 parking stalls is still enticing. the truck stop, okay? They'll have trucks staying there. It'll be very difficult to enforce no overnight stays. There'll be signage that will be seen from the I-10. So you're going to be encouraging truck stops. Additionally, you're going to see new requests for additional truck stops if you approve this. And you'll have a very difficult time denying those if you don't stop it now, nip it in the bud now. For instance, if Circle K came to you next week and said, we'd like to expand our operation, maybe have 10 parking stalls, 3 diesel fuel stations in the back of our store, are you going to allow that? Now you've got 20 trucks parking there, 6 diesel stalls, and you can see that can perpetuate itself, and you'll see truck stops built all along there. And that's my main concern. That's our concern. Aaron has sent a letter. I'm not sure if you have any comments to make regarding the letter you sent.
Just a quick one, because I see where time's taking away here, but when development happens in a community, there are some things that add to the value of the property and to the community, and there are some things that do not. And hardly any of us say, yay, it's going to be a truck fueling station / truck stop being built in our community. It doesn't add to the community, it detracts, it lowers the value of the house. So, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Can I just add one additional comment, just in closing? There's been a lot of discussion about financial gains. Obviously, there's some financial gains to the city with the truck stop or with the fueling station, but those are short-term gains. What you'll see is a long-term loss of property value and loss of financial revenue from the McCartney Center if you allow it to go ahead and if you allow more truck stops to be developed. So I would only leave you with the comment that if the truck stop had been there before we bought a house in McCartney Center, we wouldn't have bought a house in McCartney Center.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, other city officials. Good evening. I hope I can get a couple more minutes above and beyond my 3 minutes of time.
We'd like to try and keep it
My
3
name
minutes.
is Alan Strauss. Good evening again. I've shared most of you the dire consequences in bringing diesel fuel pumps to McCartney Road and I-10. I sent emails out. The proposal for 6 diesel pumps to 3 means nothing to the overall scope of things. Unless I'm dreaming, we never discussed the residents and complained about going from 6 pumps to 3. From the original meeting that we had, we discussed no pumps, not 6 to 3. And I think all the residents here will agree with me. I have called the QT truck stop in Tucson in reference to parking. QT says here they're going to allow 1 hour parking. I'd like to know how they're going to manage that. They're going to have somebody outside with a clipboard and a login sheet, running back and forth, logging in, space 1, what time they came in, what time they're leaving, you got to leave. I doubt it. Somebody watching a camera is going to be watching these parking spots in corporate and doing the same thing and calling up the store and saying, hey, Joe, spot 3, got to leave. He's there an hour and 35 minutes. I doubt that. So I can't see how that's going to be monitored. Okay? So to me, it's going to be 12-hour parking. All right? Next, I've Google Earthed other, what they call travel centers around the country. I believe I sent you all the size of the QT pad. These travel centers, if you Google Earth them, are all in industrial, wooded, and desert areas around the country. If you want the city names, I'll give them to you and you can Google them yourself. There isn't one QT pad such as this in a residential area. I know what you're saying about the zoning. I get it. It's across the street from McCartney Center. You also propose building buildings, hotels, residents behind QT, next to QT, down the road from QT, and so on and so forth. Most importantly, we haven't discussed the exhaust fumes from diesel trucks. These fumes are cancerous. Can I get more time?
We're trying to keep everybody at 3 minutes, sir. I'm sorry. We got all your information. We've read it.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Joseph Wood. I live at 1648 East Joelle Drive, Joelle, in Casa Grande here. I also am the owner-operator of the Culvers in Casa Grande as well. So there are two intersections that I deal with on a daily basis. That is the one on Florence and I-10 and the one in McCartney and I-10. And Sunland Gin was also brought up. I think this is also a very good point. I just want to say, I think we've beaten a dead horse when it comes to we don't want a truck stop. I think everybody's heard that. I'm not going to comment on it because I think it's already been done. But if we look at Florence, there is a very specific feel to that area. It's a commercial area. It's very busy. It's chaotic. There's lights everywhere. It's annoying. It's ridiculous. But it's accepted because it's a commercial area. There's a lot of traffic. It also requires a 4-lane bridge to get it done. And like I said, it's acceptable. Let's shoot on down to Sunland Gin. This is what I would like to say, whoever developed this area did the whole ready, fire, aim approach. Kind of what we're doing with this whole McCartney Bridge area. You go to Sunland Gin, that is the most horrific truck stop, gas station area I have ever seen in my life. You can't get around anywhere, and I feel so terrible for those residents. But guess what? Those residents got there after that truck stop, the majority of them. We all bought a house in McCartney Center because it is a nice, quiet, residential area. My wife and my biggest concern was more houses going behind us blocking the mountain view. Never once did I think that there would be a commercialization of the area just on the south side of us. I don't appreciate that whatsoever. I love QT. In fact, I never in my life went to Circle K. Now that it's in my backyard, I go there. If there's a QT across the street, I'm not going to say anything to the Circle K owners, but I might divert every once in a while. There is a feel that I've noticed. I can see on the board there are some people who are, we need to make this deal happen. It's going to happen in the future. It's a monetary thing. There are some other people that are exercising caution. It's very apparent. My question is why? Why does this have to be a commercialized area? This is a road servicing a rural area and a residential area. Why is there such a force to make this busy? Look, I come from small town Wisconsin where a big city was 20,000 people. We're way beyond that. I live in Casa Grande because I like that feel. I don't want to live in Maricopa. I don't want to live in Chandler. I want to live in Casa Grande. And if this commercialization is what our focus in, my question is, why do I have to continue living here?
I'm Andrea Tenney. I live at 1730 East Elegante Drive. I'm right across the street from this proposed QT, and just like everybody else, I have no problem with the QT. I was actually excited to find out that we were going to get one. I'm not excited about a truck stop, and 3 pumps and a weigh station, it's still a truck stop. I'm not sure how, as somebody said, going from 15K to 36K traffic, cars per day is not going to gridlock at that bridge. And I cross that bridge twice a day, 5 days a week to go to work, and weekends too. And it's impossible sometimes. So Will the taxes make up for the problems that are going to occur? I don't hang out at truck stops either, but I know truck drivers, and they talk about lot lizards, prostitution, drugs, noise. I'm also worried about light pollution. I'm worried about environmental pollution. I'm worried about my safety. When I go for a jog at 4 o'clock in the morning, am I gonna feel safe running down McCartney Road when there's a truck stop across the street? And the problems it attracts. I'm also concerned that what's to stop them from expanding from 3 pumps to more pumps, more parking spaces later on down the road? Are we going to set a precedent and allow them to build this not a truck stop to turn it into a full-blown truck stop later? Like everybody else, if there was a truck stop there, I wouldn't have bought my house. I bought my house 3 years ago. I love it. I have no problem with the development of the area. But when we talk about appropriate environment, across the street from McCartney Ranch is not an appropriate environment. And when you look at the map and all of the other residential that's going to go in there, it's not an appropriate environment. Thank you.
Good.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. John McGuire, 5088 West Buckskin Drive in Eloy. Very close to the Sunland Gin exit. First of all, I want to take 2 topics here tonight. Very quickly, I want to say I don't get up here in person as much as I used to in years past, but I want to say congratulations to the new council members and Mayor Fitzgibbons and Councilmember Dugan, who's in the audience tonight. And thank you to council members Lavender, McBride, for your service on the council. I appreciate it. We haven't always agreed on everything over the 15 years that I've been coming up here, but I never, ever disrespect your service for what you do here, so I appreciate that. Tonight's topic. Again, I am in Eloy now, so I don't come here and claim to be a constituent or have standing in their issues directly, but I still work in town here, and as most of you know, I run a social media Facebook group with over 5,500 people in it now, where we talk only about these issues in detail and with knowledge and with discussion and not just emotion all the time. And so I'll start with that I did a poll on this issue over the weekend, and we got 419 respondents to that. That's for a polls, you guys have done city polls here for different issues. To get 400 responses is significant. It's a significantly statistical number. Now, are they all city residents? Are they all voters? I have no way to police that exactly. But what I will say is that I've been doing these a long time, and most of my polls go 50%, 50%, 60, 40, 45, 55. This one's 88% in favor of this. I think while I appreciate these people behind me tonight, you also have to consider the good of the entire community, and these people are not any less smart or less involved or less knowledgeable or less informed about what is being proposed here. And 88% of them say this is an important thing to allow in the city. I'll also say that when I was here every single meeting and was here participating in every single issue, I remember very well when the Circle K was being proposed at this exact corner, the same issues the world is going to come to an end if it's approved were brought up. It's not. Whether the fine gentleman who I appreciate his business, I go to Culver's frequently, he and the others are fooling themselves. They don't think McCartney and I-10 is going to someday be Florence Boulevard and I-10. It just is. That whole zone is all commercial and industrial. The county side is going to be that on the east side of I-10. It is going to turn into that, whether it's 2 years from now or 5 years from now. I believe, as Councilmember McBride mentioned, the state should step up more, but if they can't, the city should find the will to mitigate as many of these as we can and allow this great business to come to town. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good evening. I'm Catherine Blaker, 1789 East Chaparral Drive. Thank you for your patience listening to all of us again. Ditto to everything everybody else has already said. I know we sound like a broken record. Everything except the gentleman that last spoke. I don't agree with him. He's not a resident.
Could you speak into the microphone? We can't hear you.
Sorry. If he's not a resident of Casa Grande, I'm sorry, but I don't really think he has a say in the way that our neighborhood is going to be devalued. Our neighborhood will not be as safe. And to Quick Trip, I am in the minority. I don't really care to see another gas station. I don't go to Quick Trip. But if you always get this pushback from residents in the neighborhoods that you want to build, why do you keep going to residents and saying, let's build? We just don't want a truck stop in our neighborhood. Thank you.
All right.
My name is Angie McKinley. I live at 1632 East Walter Drive in McCartney Center. First, I would like to point out that McCartney Center at McCartney and Pert is not McCartney Ranch, which is at McCartney and Rodeo and Brown. They're far apart. I feel that City Council is against this project. If we continue with this negative attitude towards growth, knowing this is located near the interstate, we as a city will not get the amenities in our city. This discussion is about traffic. It is not addressing the apartments that will be in the area. The apartment developments are not required to do the road improvements that QT is going to be required to do. This is going to be done at QT's expense and not the city's expense. I do appreciate the suggestions to try to extend more turn lanes that Mayor McFarland pointed out. But again, these costs are going to end up being on us as citizens, as taxpayers, as homeowners, as businesses. To think that we're not going to have industry going in that area, as it was pointed out, it's right next to the interstate. That was a bad idea. I thank you for your time. Bye.
And just a side note, that the apartment complex is paying for half-road street improvements, so any businesses that come in pay for their half-street road improvements, so just like QT.
There's several others that are going to be off of that area that are proposed to come in, and one is right next to where QT is going in at, and they're not going to be taking the brunt of that expense.
Well, they all have to have their own half-road street improvements, so that's a requirement. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Zeta Boudreau. I live at 1650 East Fontana. I live right behind the Circle K that's there now. My statement is in regards to the proposed QT gas station at the corner of Tucker and McCartney Center. As a homeowner and somebody who actually does live here in Casa Grande, I am opposed to having a gas station with 3 bays for diesel fueling. The initial proposal of a gas station with a 6-bay diesel canopy did fall under the definition of a truck stop under city code. The reduction in bays no longer meets the definition, but the bays will be there and they will still attract semi-tractor trailer traffic into the area. This will add dangerous traffic to an area that's already overwhelmed during high traffic hours. I worry about all of our safety, and as this is a route frequently used to access Casa Grande. An approval to diesel fueling means we are prioritizing the profits of QT instead of the safety of our families driving their kids to school, our teen drivers going to and from school, access to the grocery store down the street, and a safe route for those that travel in and out of our town on a daily basis. We can already see the effects of semis utilizing the I-10 exit on Pinal. That bridge is better equipped to handle the traffic and still experiences long lines. The McCartney Road Bridge will become a dangerous area for our community, not only for drivers, but for any pedestrians crossing McCartney Road to access the QT gas station. We will soon have an apartment complex next to Circle K, and that will add to the traffic and pedestrians that will be crossing. This area will be similar to the gas stations near Siegel Select, where there's a crosswalk that had to be installed after pedestrians were hit by cars. Our community does not have a need for a diesel fueling station at this location. What we need is responsible growth. We need to care about what our city will look like in 10, 20 years. We must make better decisions that benefit and beautify our city. We must also take into account the opinions of those that live near the improvements that are proposed, and not just, people that actually do not live in our city and want to create opinions that will benefit them financially. Thank you.
Can I make a quick comment on the design that I saw, the new design for the roadway from McCartney? Take me a few seconds. Is that okay? Just an observation that I saw.
Keep it to 3 minutes.
No, give me less than that.
Okay.
1 minute.
Going from west to east towards the I-10, the new design for the McCartney Road, is it true what I saw on the design where 2 lanes are going to be merging into one to get to the interstate? Is that what I saw on the diagram?
Yep.
Wow, that's opening up a can of worms. Can you imagine trucks and cars coming down McCartney in 2 lanes, passing the light at QT, and going down, and all of a sudden, we're jockeying now, who's going to go first in the line?
We've had this discussion,
Okay,
and we're going to try and address that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
See?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Aiken. I live at 2937 North Pecan Avenue in Casa Grande. I am very much opposed to this, and before I guess start, thank you for hearing me out on this. So this is it's not a good fit for that area. It's dangerous. Truck stops are associated with, we've all heard before, but again, just to reiterate, drugs, prostitution, human trafficking. It will bring crime to our neighborhood. There's proposed neighborhood developments that are going to be behind where the QT is. They're, everywhere around where the QT, this proposed truck stop is, they're going to be families and kids. And when you have a semi-truck, they have absolutely 100%, they have horrible blind spots, and they're so high up, they can't see what's happening right in front of them. You're going to have accidents, and it's going to, people are going to get hurt. Kids could get hurt, running around, people trying to cross the street, someone who wants to go out for a jog at night while it's still cool. These people are going to be in danger. You're going to be putting citizens' lives in danger. The other thing, the lawyer guy said that the reason why they have to keep the parking spaces there at the truck stop is because they see that there's trucks parked on the side of the road. Why they're parked there? Because they're overnight. They're sleeping. They're taking their break. So those spaces are for truckers who are sleeping, taking their break. They're going to be staying there overnight, and there's no way that it's going to be enforced. Really, who's going to be doing that? So you also pointed out there was no crime at the QT on Florence. There's no houses there. Unless somebody's getting mugged on the side of the street, randomly, but that's not the kind of thing that just happens in a there's nothing else there except for the QT. Maybe if somebody's going to rob the QT. But other than that, like, there's no houses, there's no developments, there's nothing else going on there. And then you pointed out that the truck stop that's down the road does have crime there. So, like, the big difference is that there's a truck stop. And the truck stop, you're going to have people like, you're going to have independent truckers that don't have the same kind of oversight or criminal background checks that they would have in regular companies. So you don't know who these people are. They're going to be coming into our neighborhood all hours of the night. Noise pollution, light pollution.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask if the applicant would like to answer any of those questions or comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I'm fondly referred to as the lawyer guy now, so thank you. First, I want to thank everybody who's came out tonight, was at our neighborhood meeting, was at the Planning Commission meeting. Even though we have differences and there's passion and all that stuff coming out tonight, everybody's been very cordial to me and very polite to me, even though we've seen differently on a lot of different things. So I want to thank everybody for that. There's been some talk about expansion. It's built into the PAD zoning document that there can't be any expansion of these facilities. It's locked in with what's on the site plan, and that's 3 proposed semi-truck bays. Also, I heard the word precedent, or, what if we allow this? It's just going to continue, and somebody's going to say, why can't I have it too? Zoning laws don't work like that. Every decision you guys make is discretionary on a zoning case, as you guys probably have been advised by your attorney, so there's no such thing as precedent. And this area has always been designated by the voter-approved general plan as business and commerce, which allows light industrial, warehousing, truck distribution facilities, large-scale commercial. It's planned for a lot of intensity. And I know that's not what a lot of the neighbors want to hear tonight, and they didn't know that, but it's on the voter-approved general plan as a decision-making tool for this council. The QT will take about 8 to 12 months to permit. It'll take about 12 months to construct, so you're looking at 24 months approximately before a grand opening for it. That's a lot of time to get offsite improvements and solutions in the interim to accommodate some additional traffic. Because I can't remember who said it earlier, but this perceived traffic problem is not a QT problem. Development is coming. QT is just one proposed developer on a 4.5 acre site. There's large masses of property there that are being developed with multifamily and commercial uses. That's what's going to be there. You won't see single family homes because nobody can get a certificate of assured water supply right now. So that's all you're going to see being developed, and it's just going to put more traffic on the road. And that ADOT interchange, and to the extent QT can be a part of that solution and have those discussions and help with ADOT, they'd be happy to do it. We do it quite often because QT goes on a lot of traffic interchanges. A lot of them aren't built out yet. Rarely, when you go out and develop new and expand, the roadways are not there. Cities don't build roadways and networks, and have all the infrastructure in place before the development comes. That would be way too expensive. It never happens that way. So that's all I have for you. We wish that you approve this case tonight. We think QT would be a great use here, great community partner. This would be their 3rd store here, and we're only asking for 3 service bays for semi-truck fueling. Nothing else. No truck wash, no showers, none of that other stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. And Larry, I did want to make sure that we put into the record the emails that we had gotten Okay, is there a tally on what you received or what we've put into record?
Mr. Mayor, we've actually, from what the mayor and council had received that we've been able to obtain as a staff and what staff has received over the course of the last 3 or 4 days, there were roughly 5 additional emails in opposition, and I believe there were as many as 13 in favor of the project and the case. But as I was looking at my email a bit ago, there's still a few more coming in, so we'll attempt to refresh that. But obviously, there had to be a cutoff time for us to present this evening.
Right. Okay. Well, I also want to remind everybody, McCartney Road is an arterial, it's a principal arterial road for us in Casa Grande. It will be a major road. It's already a major road, it's just not wide enough. And it's way too scalloped, which is one of the reasons why we asked for the bond to fix that. And so that will be done. The engineering is done. I think the contracts are soon to be issued. So the construction will begin on the widening of McCartney Road. And I think we need to find a solution at the interchange, because whether QT goes in there or not, that is a problem. And, QT could take 24 months before they're open. We need to find a solution within that same time frame, in my opinion. So, and then ultimately continue to work with ADOT to try and improve that entire traffic interchange, because it needs some major improvement. So, that being said, then, I'm going to call for an ordinance number. Gloria?
Ordinance number 1178.145. An ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from urban ranch to planned area development on property generally located at the southeast corner of McCartney Road and Tucker Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to deny ordinance number 1178.
Second. All right, I have a motion and a second to deny, which means you're going to vote yes. Gloria, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Before I vote, Mayor, I do want to, again, thank everyone for your feedback. It's important for us to hear this, and I really hope QT will really look at your business plan again. You can see that people want you here. We know this is a growing area. We know it's a great location, but it's just someone said, and I can't remember what gentleman it was, why at this point do we want to encourage truck traffic to come up, when we're having these issues, and it's going to be this way for a while. So I'm going to vote no. I'm going to vote yes. But again, I just want to thank everyone for their feedback and for your continued partnership, seriously, with the city. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Herman.
Foregone conclusion. But I want to thank QT for working with everybody. I want to thank everyone who emailed, spoke tonight, everything. We listened to this. This is hard. You lose sleep over this. You agonize over this because it's our community. But I did realize, thinking a lot about this night, it's up to us to get this road built. I want to thank for the bond passage because we've been thinking ahead on that. But now we got to figure out this interchange so that we can do this, because that is going to be a commercial corridor. There is going to be business there. There's going to be traffic there, but we have to be ready for it. So I'm going to vote yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Well, probably only a holdout here, so just to explain, and I appreciate everybody's input, but I'm looking at it from I guess more of a 30,000-foot level in the future development of the city of Casa Grande. And I think that by denying this, we are going to postpone the ability to improve this interchange and to improve McCartney Road. If it gets approved, that forces the city into actually doing something, which we are not very good at in terms of necessarily being proactive. And so sometimes we need to take a step forward so that we can bring this infrastructure to fruition and to make your road better, to make that interchange, those interchanges better. And I don't see that 3 truck bays are not going to bring in prostitution. They're not going to bring in drugs. It's going to be truck passing through. In fact, you all have neighbors you have truckers who are neighbors that park on McCartney Road today, and they live in your neighborhood. And so you're really denying them ease of getting diesel and getting back to their job. So I think that it's, you need to look at beyond just yourselves and really think of the whole. And so I'm going to vote no. All right, so that's done. So we're going to go to reports. That's the last item on our agenda. So I'll start with you, Mr. Lavender.
Real quick, next Tuesday, Abel and Jesus Ramos are opening their gym. Abel will be fighting for the world welterweight championship on November 15th. And so it's an event celebrating his opportunity to win a belt. Also Congressman Siscomani, because it's the last day of a Hispanic Heritage Month, so we'll be celebrating Hispanic heritage as well as celebrating these 2 local fighters.
What's the date and time again?
Tuesday, October 15th at 5 to 6:30. And so it's a community event. We encourage people to come out, meet the Ramos. They're not brothers, one uncle and nephew, but both are, and then also the congressman being here. We have food ordered for a nice community event. I'm assuming, Pastor Edwards, you're going to talk about the dedication on Wednesday for Pastor Hume, so I'll defer that to you, sir.
Okay.
Just a couple of quick things. Congratulations to the Boys and Girls Club. They received the Eagle Award, which is only 13% of the Boys and Girls Club across the nation received that award. Also, kudos to Kevin Lewis. He actually did a video with Steve Miller about the Thornton Road project, and they showed that at the Board of Supervisors meeting, so thank you for representing us. And thank you to everybody that came out for the day of service that we had on the 21st, and also we did a city cleanup on Saturday, and I was out there with that. And just a reminder that we've got the business showcase with the chamber on Wednesday. And that's it.
Downtown, October 19th is Rotary Club's 3rd annual Oktoberfest celebration, 5 to 9 p.m.
Downtown Casa Grande, this Saturday is Viva La Raza at the rodeo grounds. Tons of musical entertainment, as well as some rodeo and horse entertainment and lucha libre wrestling. And got to go to the Sun Life dedication last week. Very nice, very good looking building on the right on Florence Boulevard. It's going to be there, 4-story. So great addition to our community. Good partners. Thank you.
Anthony?
Yes, on October the 3rd, I was able to represent the mayor at Banner Hospital. We have a brand-new MRI machine at Banner. For 40 years, Banner only had one MRI machine. So they would have to wheel people over or get people over there, somehow patients over there to get the MRI machine. And so it was needed. They've spent $7.1 million for this MRI machine, and it looks really nice. And so happy for Banner. They do a lot of good work for our community and for the surrounding cities as well. So I was able to be there on behalf of the mayor for the ribbon cutting for that. This coming Wednesday, October the 9th, at 9 a.m. at the Community Garden for Seeds of Hope, which is by First Presbyterian Church. They're going to be doing we're having a dedication of the Pastor Juan Humes Memorial Prayer Garden. We've really fixed it up really nice, put in some different plaques and things of the walkway that we put in there as well. And Juan Humes, those that do not know, pastor here in town that did a lot in our community, worked a lot with our city and the many different entities here in Casa Grande, and done a wonderful job, passed away last year, October the 9th. And so we're doing the memorial dedication October the 9th, this coming Wednesday, 9 a.m. For the Juan Humes Memorial Walkway.
Behind the Presbyterian Church.
Yep, right behind the Presbyterian Church by the Seats of Hope office, right between it is the community garden.
Good.
That's it.
Lisa?
And I'm so glad they're doing that.
Yeah, it's
So
really
well
nice.
deserved, too. So you mentioned, Councilmember Lavender, Hispanic Heritage Month. We're still in it until, I guess, next week. And I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out for this Celebra celebration downtown, especially for some of my fellow council members and staff that showed up. You know, it was Casa Grande Main Street, the Arts and Culture Commission for the city, and the Latino Familia Initiative, and this is continuing to grow. And it was just a great event. And so I'm just happy to see the activities, you know, that are going on throughout our community. And expect, you know, Oktoberfest is coming up too. So please, people, get out. Everyone, you know, says there's nothing to do in our community, and this is the time of year that there's so much going on. So thank you. It was a great event. Service, you know, the National Day of the Service. I wanted to thank Scott McEwen again, you know, for his continued dedication to just having us remember all those lost on 9/11, and one we did acknowledge and recognize one of our local, Carol Kiesler, that was killed on September 11th. So really great event. So many young people there doing their service in cleaning up our community. So thank you to everyone that participated. Councilmember Lavender had a planning session with his staff and community leaders and businesses for the task force. And so just trying to find ways to increase the graduation rate and, you know, finding, you know, fitting, you know, careers with our young people. So thank you for being proactive and including people, and I look forward to participating on that task force. And the anti-crime night, again, great event. It was a great event. It was a great night, and so many public safety, you know, organization. Chief Keen is here. I don't see our police chief here at this time, but, you know, thank you for everything you guys do with the police department and fire department being involved. But it was great seeing our transit, you know, our waste, you know, our sanitation department was there, all the different departments with the city. It's so nice to showcase our city, and there were so many young families there and so many nonprofit organizations that were telling about their organizations and giving out things. So again, great night for our community and great event. So the biggest thing for me, though, this week is I'm a new grandmother. So I just had a new grandbaby, so spent the week with that new grandbaby. So that was my highlight, so.
Bob?
Thank you.
No report, Mayor.
No new grandbaby, huh?
I can't top that.
I just have a couple things. We've got the Casa Grande Chamber Business Showcases Wednesday night at Property. That starts at, I think about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And again, that's out at the Property, so that's a good place to go and kind of catch up on some of the local businesses. And then this Saturday is HOHP, which is the Helping Our Heroes program. It's a veterans event. They're doing their stand down out at their McCartney Center, which is out past, it's on McCartney Road, out past Overfield, as you're on your way to Coolidge out there. So it's on the south side of the road. But if you feel so compelled, go out there. It starts at 9:30. And that's about all I've got. All right.
And I just wanted to mention, because Chief Keen is here, it's Fire Prevention Week, and Martha does an excellent job at our fire department. They really do a good educational program, so I just wanted to make a shout out to the fire department on that.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. Meeting adjourned.
Hey, what is the business show?